It cited instances, the newspaper cited instances, where chiefs were flogged openly before their subjects for trifling offenses. Among these were the cases of the chief of Abo, who failed to attend the court when Crewe-Read was in the district, the chief of Abavo, who did not order his people to clear a public road, and the chief of Onichubo, who failed to provide water and food. In a catalogue of misdeeds, the paper exposed the high-handedness of Crewe-Read's administration and concluded that the attack on him was as the result of the people's pent-up rage, which had long been waiting for an opportunity to vent itself, and the call to arms to free themselves from a rule they had long felt to be oppressive was readily responded to. The Lagos Standard, a Lagos newspaper, was equally critical of the government over the incident. It accused the government of being ignorant of the state of affairs in the Abo district and therefore guilty of an act of criminal indifference, it concluded. On 19th of June 1906, the Ekumeku society was in the news again. In connection with the killing of O.S. Crewe-Read, District Commissioner Crewe-Read, together with an escort of 53 men, was on a visit to Ute, a town in the Abo district, and had halted for the day in Owa. Crewe-Read is the district commissioner. That's what we have just learned. And he was traveling with 50 armed men, 53 armed men as escort. He was going to Ute and he was ambushed at Owa. Owa is the hometown of Ifeanyi Okowa. And I'm glad he has come out on national television severally to say he's an Igbo man. The town looked deserted except for 2 men who were sent by Crewe-Read to summon the rest of the men in the town. The 2 returned late in the evening to report that the people refused to see him. And not long after, the police on guard were fired at and seriously wounded. As the state of affairs worsened, 2 policemen were sent to Abo to do a telegram. Now they are going to call for backup. 2 policemen were now dispatched to go to Abo with telegrams to the commanding officer requesting assistance. They had traveled no more than a kilometer when they were stopped by the natives and the telegrams were snatched from them. They barely escaped with their lives with such a small force and no hope of immediate relief. Crewe-Read started back for Abo on 9th of June 1906, but was ambushed at a place not far from the town of Owa Lisimini. There he received 2 fatal gunshot wounds and his small escort scattered into the bush for safety. On receiving the news, headquarters sent an army under Captain Rudikin to Abo to punish the killers. But in an encounter with the natives of Abo, 2 European officers sustained serious wounds. 2 soldiers were killed and 26 wounded. A reinforcement under Captain Whaling, one of the commanders, was engaged at Ute by the people and pinned there for 56 hours until relieved by a section from Rudkin's column. The intention of Ute people to rout the invaders was revealed by the fact that 30% of the 280 men in the relieving column suffered casualties, the position of the force was thought to be so critical that the Northern Nigeria Regiment was warned to hold 2 companies in readiness. Now, they had to bring reinforcement from Northern Nigeria in 2 regiments. You see what I'm saying? They had to bring reinforcement in 2 regiments from Northern Nigeria to resist this area in Abo. Precisely, Ute. Ute is just trackable from Ubuluku. A section of the column managed to reach Owa and did not encounter opposition immediately, and was therefore able to search for the body of Crewe-Read, which was found buried in the bush between the spot where he was killed and the town. It was exhumed and removed to Benin for burial. Now, by this time, Benin had been captured, but the Igbo people in this part of Iboland, Western Iboland, continued to fight. Remember, Benin was captured in 1897, in just 4 days. But the Igbo continued to fight. This is 1906. 9 years after Benin was captured. Benin was captured in 1897. This is 1906. The Igbo were still fighting. They have now been able to successfully recover the body of Crewe-Read, who is the district commissioner, and they are transporting him to Benin for proper funeral, or maybe they will send him back to his home country. The battle that followed ended in the capture of the chiefs of Owa, Ibonoba, Iyibo, Ukute 1, Ukute 2, Ikaria, Ukeneme, Echenim, Tete, Ijoma, on the 26th of September 1906. Look at the list of people they mentioned. They mentioned human beings. Somebody can go to Owa now and find the families of these people that they mentioned, the chiefs who were captured, relating to the death of Crewe-Read. And when you hear them talking about Ekumeku resistance, they mention names that I don't even know. Names that I have not found here. These are the people who were attacked. They are telling you the names of the people who attacked them. This is British document, not my own, not our own. By our own, it could have been manipulated. This is them telling us now about what we did to them. They mentioned about 7 names here of the people of Owa that attacked them on the 26th of September 1906. These men were found guilty of murder and sentenced to execution by the judge of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, J.M.M. Dunlop. So these names I mentioned here were executed. They died for the cause of Ekumeku, and they are from Owa. And they were sentenced to death by the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, Justice J.M. Dunlop. Now, as might be expected, the circumstances leading to the death of Crewe-Read and the trial and execution of the alleged murders re-echoed beyond Nigeria. As I said now, that's the aim. Their aim is to spread this message to the whole world, that Ndi Igbo do not want to see the Europeans. Therefore, the European countries will have a mutual hatred, an agreed hatred against Ndi Igbo. That is the plan. It is a propaganda. It was planned long time ago. When you hear people saying Nigeria government doesn't like Ndi Igbo, it is an understatement. The people who founded Nigeria do not like Ndi Igbo. How much more the Nigerian government? These are the people who founded Nigeria, spreading a propaganda to the world that there is an association of an organization founded by Ndi Igbo that is against Europeans, not against British. Europeans did not come to our place. Portuguese came and left. But what we have is the British. But the British is successfully spreading the information in 1906 that we have an association that is strictly designed to attack and fight anything European. Not anything British, but anything European. So if France were to have good intention, they will not come because they believe these people have an organization that will attack them. Italy, Germany, Spain, all of them will not come because they believe we will attack them. Therefore, British did this to Ndi on the account of what Western Igbos brought. When we are saying that The sufferings of Ndi Igbo started in the hands of Western Igbos. People think we're joking. This is British documents exposing the same fact. If you're seeing this video and you think what we are doing is worth appreciating, you can support us by sharing this video, double tapping on the video to like it, dropping a comment. Is a question, is anything you want to call out, anything you want to contribute. You can even give us super thanks if you can. But any of this is enough support. As might be expected, the circumstances leading to the death of Crewe-Read and the trial and execution of the alleged murderers re-echoed beyond Nigeria. For instance, the government of southern Nigeria used the opportunity to blame the murder on the Ekumeku society and described it as anti-white man. Does this not surprise you? In 1906, the government of northern Nigeria was blaming Ndi Igbo for the murder of Crewe-Read, and he's saying that the government is anti-white man. Anti-white man. We don't want to see white man. The same script, a playbook handed over to them to say, read this. Otherwise, who gave them that idea? They were not in southern Nigeria. How did the northern Nigerian government get to know and start spreading the message that southern Nigerian government of Ndi Igbo are against the white man? Not that we are against British for trying to usurp our culture, for trying to impose a religion on us, but that we are against white man. So we don't want to see white man. Okay, no problem. That is the interpretation. We can interpret for them. Both local and foreign reaction to the incident differ from that of the government. For example, West Africa, a weekly newspaper, attributed the outburst and eventual murder of Crewe-Read to the manner in which the dignity and influence of native chiefs was lowered by government administrators. I like journalism. Look at the beautiful work these journalists did. Not putting the blame on the locals, but the blame on Crewe-Read, who was high-handed, who has also reduced our chiefs to ordinary people. Okay? That is what this newspaper reported. It cited instances, the newspaper cited instances, where chiefs were flogged openly before their subjects for trifling offenses. Among these were the cases of the chief of Abo, who failed to attend the court when Crewe-Read was in the district, the chief of Abavo, who did not order his people to clear a public road, and the chief of Onichubo, who failed to provide water and food. In a catalogue of misdeeds, the paper exposed the high-handedness of Crewe-Read's administration and concluded that the attack on him was as the result of the people's pent-up rage, which had long been waiting for an opportunity to vent itself, and the call to arms to free themselves from a rule they had long felt to be oppressive was readily responded to. The Lagos Standard, a Lagos newspaper, was equally critical of the government over the incident. It accused the government of being ignorant of the state of affairs in the Abo district and therefore guilty of an act of criminal indifference, it concluded. Now, a quote from the paper says, the disturbance in the Abo district is only a recrudescence of that form of unrest, which is the outcome of the youth and the inexperience of men placed in the authority, entrusted with almost unlimited power, and left to themselves without any guiding or controlling influence to check the waywardness of their conduct. This is referring to Crewe-Read, who it is believed here or reported here, the British government gave absolute power in the district. So he was flogging chiefs, flogged the chief of Abo, When the people they call chief here are the Obio, traditional ruler, the king. They flogged the king of Abo, king of Abavo, king of Onitrubo. What did they do? The Onitrubo case is that when Crewe-Read came, they did not bring food and water to them. The Abo case is that when Crewe-Read came, he did not attend the court session. Flimsy excuses. And he flogged a king in the presence of his subjects. So the subjects had no option than to gather together and take out Crewe-Read. So for their own newspapers to be supporting his execution, it showed that he was also truly high-handed. Okay? Similarly, in the article, this is so thorough. They are putting articles upon articles to support this claim. And they are the ones writing. Remember, we are not the ones who wrote this. This is British colonial document. Similarly, in an article in the West African Mail of 21st September 1906, headed, "The Crewe-Read Tragedy and its sequel," that was the heading. E.D. Morel, a critic of British imperialism, called for an inquiry for the sake of British reputation and for the sake of justice. He regarded the incident as a fight in which Crewe-Read lost his life and therefore had nothing to do with any secret society. This writer, Morel, has absolved Ekumeku people of the death of Crewe-Read. In what Morel subheaded the facts he wrote, it was the outcome of the resentment of a primitive people against the upsetting of all their tradition and feelings through gross and sheer misadministration and incompetence. It was due not to any desire on the part of the natives to expel all Europeans from their country, but to anger on the part of the tribe of the natives that being incorporated by administrative decisions in a district whose capital was the town of another tribe, with whom the first tribe had been at war for generations. They are stating here, this particular writer, this journalist is saying that the people of this area, he's referring to Abavo, Abo, Owa, Ogwashuku, Ubuluku, that they are angry that the British have made Benin their head, especially those in Abo, while they have been at war with Benin and they do not bow to Benin for a long time, and you have made Benin their head. When something is true, it can only be corroborated. This is the truth we have been stating every time. Abo, Owa, Ibanke, all these places were never under Benin. Never. They have been at war with Benin, as you can read here. It's not me that wrote it. Another criticism came from the Secretary of the Aborigines Protection Society, H.R. Fox-Brown, in a letter to the Earl of Elgin, Secretary of the State of the Colonies. Fox-Brown pointed out the evils of the Southern Nigeria Proclamation, November 15 of the 1903, which regulated the compulsory labor existing under the tribal systems. This proclamation empowered district commissioners and other British colonial officers to exact with or without payment labor for public purposes, including the clearing of rivers and repair of roads. After reviewing the causes that led to the death of Crewe-Read, he appealed to the Secretary of State for the speedy amendment of the policy, which experience appears to have shown to be necessary in the interest alike of Europeans seeking commercial advantage from relations with the natives and of the natives themselves. These people were enforcing labor on the natives and collecting levies from them as well. One of the things that it is believed here that angered the natives to start fighting against the colonial system. Please double tap on this video to give it thumbs up. This is just a way of busting the lies of the many people who say we are not Igbo, we are Igbo. This report is centered, it said Iboland. Iboland is Iboland, and you will expect it this way because the British doesn't have GB in their alphabet. The letter B is not in the British alphabet. So you will not expect to see Iboland. You will see Iboland. And that is what is written here. He said Iboland, a century of contact. That is what is written here. Iboland, a century of contact. And in this Iboland, we have discussed Abo, Owa, Abavo. These are core places that you will hear some people ranting that they are not Igbo. Now we have discussed Ogwashuku, Onitrolona, another community where you will see some fools ranting that they are not Igbo. There's one they call a Homioto Homina. It's like a nickname that people gave to him because of his usual rants. Some of them will say, oh, this is just a 1906 document. Do you have any other document older than 1902? If you have any document older than 1902, bring, I will also read. This is 1902. Perhaps one of the oldest documents I've laid my hands on. One of the oldest I have laid my hands on. And so say, okay, British cannot define who we are for us. Really? You think they just came and started writing? And they're not writing your history here. They're telling you about what we did to them. So they are writing in anger. When somebody is writing in anger, they usually say the truth. I've documented all of you as Igbo and you're saying you are not Igbo.